Welcome to The Squeeze, the program dedicated to dissecting the economic currents shaping the lives of Australian working parents and suburban families. Tonight, we delve into the intricate dance between rising interest rates, an escalating rental crisis, and the evolving landscape of our property market. Our aim is to provide clarity, not just on the numbers, but on the profound human impact these forces exert on our daily lives. Joining me tonight are our resident experts, technical analyst Ben Carter, consumer representative Chloe Davison, and institutional insider Diana Chen. We begin our journey in a climate where economic certainty feels increasingly elusive, a feeling perhaps echoed even in the highest echelons, as recent reports of a disappointing standoff over accommodation between Prince Harry and King Charles III suggest that securing a stable home, or even a palace, can be a complex negotiation, regardless of one's standing. For many Australian families, the negotiation isn't about palace wings, but about the very roof over their heads. The last few years have seen a significant shift in the economic gravity pulling on household budgets across Australia. For many, it feels like an unrelenting current, making every financial decision more challenging.
Adam, the data clearly shows this. The Reserve Bank of Australia, or RBA, has systematically increased the cash rate from its historical lows. This aggressive tightening cycle is designed to temper inflationary pressures, but its most immediate effect has been on variable mortgage rates, which have seen a substantial upward trajectory, moving from an average of around 2.5% to levels approaching 6.5% or even 7% for some borrowers in a relatively short period. This translates directly into hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars added to monthly mortgage repayments.
Hundreds is an understatement, Ben. For a family like mine, with 2 kids and a mortgage of $750,000 on a suburban home in Sydney's Outer West, that change has been seismic. Our repayments on a variable loan have jumped from roughly $2,800 a month to nearly $5,000. That's an additional $2,200 a month, or $26,400 a year, just to keep the same roof over our heads. To put that into perspective for working parents, that's almost a full year of before and after school care for one child, or more than a semester of university fees for a future student that we now have to find from our existing income. It forces families to make incredibly tough choices, like canceling extracurricular activities, delaying essential car maintenance, or pushing back dental checkups.
And it's not just homeowners feeling the starn, Chloe. The rental market has also seen unprecedented pressure. The latest DOM data points to national vacancy rates hovering near historic lows, often below 1%.
Absolutely, Adam. In major capital cities like Sydney and Melbourne, some postcodes are registering vacancy rates below 0.7%. This scarcity, coupled with strong demand driven by population growth and reduced investment in new rental properties, has led to a sharp increase in median rental prices. Across Australia, we've observed annual rental price increases exceeding 10% in many regions.
For renters, this is a constant source of anxiety. My sister, a single mom of 3, was paying $680 a week for a 4-bedroom house in Newcastle. Her lease wasn't renewed, and the identical property down the street is now listed for $800 a week. That $120 increase every single week adds up to $6,240 a year. She's now debating if she can afford school excursions or new uniforms, just to keep her kids in their familiar school zone. The stability that many families crave, a stable home environment, feels incredibly precarious when you're facing those kinds of hikes. Or worse, the prospect of having to move out of your community entirely.
The backdrop to all of this, for many families, includes life's profound and unexpected turns. The tragic news of suburban footballer and teacher Nathan Fitzgerald, who recently passed away after a head injury during a game, serves as a sobering reminder of the fragility of life and the immense impact unexpected events can have on families and communities, both emotionally and often financially. It underscores the critical need for families to build financial resilience, even as their budgets are squeezed from every direction. So what are the deeper currents propelling these shifts in our macroeconomy? Ben, from a technical standpoint, what are the primary structural drivers we're observing?
Adam, we're seeing a confluence of factors. On the housing front, decades of underinvestment in new supply, particularly medium-density housing in established suburban areas, has created a structural deficit. This is exacerbated by robust population growth, which, while beneficial for overall economic expansion, places immediate pressure on available housing stock. Material costs for construction have also seen a rapid expansion, fueled by global supply chain disruptions during and after the pandemic. Timber, steel, concrete, all experienced significant price surges, directly contributing to higher building costs and, consequently, higher property prices and rents for new dwellings.
Ben is absolutely right, and these domestic factors are intertwined with global forces. Inflation, which the RBA is actively trying to manage, isn't solely a local phenomenon. The lingering effects of global fiscal and monetary stimulus, coupled with geopolitical tensions, have driven up the cost of imported goods and energy. Consider the global landscape. We've seen significant shifts, with China issuing warnings to Australia over a landmark military alliance with Fiji. While primarily a strategic concern, such geopolitical developments can ripple through global trade routes, influence commodity prices, and affect investor confidence, all of which ultimately impact Australia's inflation trajectory and broader economic stability.
When Diana talks about commodity prices and global trade, for a working parent, that translates directly to the cost of filling up the family car to get to work or school, or the price of groceries at the supermarket. Last year, our weekly grocery bill for a family of 4 was around $250. Now, for the same basket of goods, it's easily $300 to $320. That's an extra $70 a week, or $3,640 over a year. And petrol? My husband commutes 40 kilometers each way for work. When petrol was $1.50 a liter, it cost him about $60 a week. Now, consistently over $2 a liter, it's closer to $80 a week, or an extra $140 annually. These aren't luxuries, they're non-negotiable costs just to participate in the economy.
These micro-level pressures, Chloe, are the direct human translation of the macroeconomic forces Diana and Ben are describing. It's a vivid picture of how global supply chains and housing supply directly reshape a family's daily budget. Now let's explore the evolving relationship between institutional policy decisions and the lived reality of Australian consumers. Diana, the RBA's mandate is clear: MNTN price stability and full employment. How do they balance these objectives in the current environment?
Adam, it's a delicate and complex act. The RBA's primary tool to combat inflation is the cash rate. Arsing rates is intended to cool demand in the economy, making borrowing more expensive and encouraging saving. This process, however, operates with a significant lag. The full impact of a rate hike isn't felt immediately, but can take 12 to 18 months to fully flow through the economy and influence inflation figures. So, while the RBA is observing certain economic indicators that suggest the policy is working, Australian households are experiencing the immediate and cumulative impact of those rate rises directly on their budgets.
And that's where we see the divergence, Diana. While inflation figures might show signs of moderating, real wage growth has largely fled to keep pace. Australian Bureau of Statistics data indicates that while wages have seen some increases, they're still trailing the rate of inflation. This means that, in real terms, many working parents are seeing their purchasing power diminish. Household savings ratios, which saw a temporary boost during the pandemic lockdowns, are now declining as families draw down on reserves to cover increased living costs and mortgage repayments.
It's a constant mental calculation for us. The RBA might see a slowdown in spending as a sign that their policies are working. But for families, that slowdown isn't a choice. It's a necessity. My husband and I used to put aside $500 a fortnight for our kids' future education. Now, with the increase in our mortgage and grocery bills, that $500 is completely absorbed. We had planned to replace our aging family car, a 2012 model, next year. With an average new family SUV now costing upwards of $50,000 and loan rates for a car finance at 8% or 9%, that simply isn't feasible anymore. A $50,000 loan over 5 years at 8.5% is an extra $1,025 a month. That's another chunk out of the budget that we just don't have. So, we're extending the life of our current car, hoping it holds up, and trying to manage unexpected reaper costs when they arise.
Chloe, that's a perfect illustration of how macroeconomic adjustments filter down into very tangible personal decisions. Decisions that often involve delaying or foregoing significant life plans. The institutional view might focus on aggregate demand, but for families, it's about individual aspirations and necessities. Looking ahead, what do these intersecting forces portend for the Australian macroeconomy? Ben, where do you see the interest rate cycle heading, and what might this mean for the property and rental markets?
Adam, the consensus among economists is that we are likely nearing the peak of the current interest rate tightening cycle. However, the path forward is still uncertain. There's a delicate balance the RBA must strike, bringing inflation back within its target band without triggering an undue economic downturn. This means we might see rates hold at current elevated levels for some time before any potential adjustments downward. For the property market, this implies continued moderation in price growth, and in some areas, we could see further market corrections. The rental market, unfortunately, looks set to rem tight for the foreseeable future. Even with potential interest rate stability, the underlying structural supply issues and continued population growth mean that rental relief may not materialize quickly. We might see rental price increases moderate, but a sharp decline in prices is not on the immediate horizon.
Ben's assessment aligns with the RBA's cautious forward guidance. The central bank is focused on bringing services inflation down, which has proven stickier than goods inflation. Global economic headwinds, including the ongoing situation in Ukraine and potential future shifts in global trade dynamics, perhaps influenced by alliances such as Australia's new one with Fiji, will continue to shape commodity prices and overall global confidence, impacting our own economic outlook. Government policy, through fiscal measures and investment in housing supply, will play an increasingly crucial role in supporting the RBA's efforts and alleviating pressure on households.
For our family and for so many others, these projections mean we have to continue to be incredibly adaptable and strategic with every dollar. We're looking at things like refinancing options more regularly, exploring ways to increase our income through side hustles, and rigorously reviewing every subscription and discretionary spend. It means teaching our kids about budgeting early, about needs versus wants, because the financial landscape they're growing up in is vastly different to what we experienced.
Chloe, your perspective highlights the resilience and resourcefulness of Australian families navigating these complex times. It's a testament to the spirit of our communities, striving for stability and prosperity amidst significant economic headwinds. What's clear is that understanding these macroeconomic shifts, from the global stage to our local suburbs, is no longer just for economists. It's essential for every household budget. For The Squeeze, I'm Adam Williams. Join us next time as we continue to unpack the forces shaping Australia's financial future. Good night.